Good day and welcome to your introductory CAD design CAD lesson number 2. In today's lesson we will be drawing CAD 2, which is this drawing that you see in front of you. This is what a completed drawing looks like. We will be learning how to draft angles. We'll learn how to dimension those angles, and we'll also learn how to draw a circle and as well as dimension that circle. And we'll review how to draw with point relative with the outside perimeter of this drawing. So to begin, let's start a new drawing. You can open up DesignCAD, and when you do that, you will have this box show up. Make sure that your drawing units are set to millimeters for both this and this drawing, or those two spaces. Press OK. And press OK again. A new blank piece of paper will start up. So grab your second ortholine drawing tool to begin. And we're going to click on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Actually, we're going to come in a little bit because we're going to be drawing to the left. And click point relative, remembering that the quotation key or the apostrophe to the left of the Enter key is your point relative. I'll be going a little bit quicker on this outside perimeter because we've already learned how to type in coordinates in CAD 1 to get us to different dimensions. So we're going to go -22, tab 0, enter. Now that went off my screen a bit. So I'm going to press enter so I can find that line, the end of the line. There it is. And we'll grab that ortholine drawing tool and right click or snap to that point. Point relative 75 up. And remember, you can always refer back to the original drawing. I have placed a image on Edsby for you to look at. So this is 75 on DY. Enter. Again, that went way off my screen, so I'm going to press enter again. I just have to resize my screen, so I'm going to click negative 3 times. 1, 2, 3, just to give myself some room to draw. I'm going to need even more room than this, so I'm going to give myself one more negative zoom, and that should be plenty for the whole drawing other than the dimensions. So getting my ortholine drawing tool, we shouldn't be stopped anymore. We're going to right click or snap. Point relative 25 on DX, 0 on DY. Point relative, this is 40 up because on the dimension it says 115 from the bottom and we've already gone up 75. So this is 0 on DX, 40 on DY. Point relative 40, tab 0. Enter. Point relative 0, tab -10. Enter. Point relative 40, tab 0. Enter. Point relative 0, tab 10 on DY to go up. Now we're going to the right. Point relative 40 on DX, 0 on DY. And point relative, this time we're going -40 down on, so that's on DY. So 0 DX, -40 on DY. Remember, I'm just pressing tab to get from DX to DY. They don't have to touch the mouse. 25 to the right, tab 0, and we're going down, this time 75, -75, and we're going to the left 18 now, -18 on DX, 0 on DY, enter, and enter. This is something we should probably save, so let's save that in our folder. File, Save As. Now just want to click this down arrow, click on Desktop, find your folder. In this case, this would be the example folder. I'm saving mine into my introductory CAD lessons folder, so I'm going to double click on that. That should show up here, and we'll call this CAD 2. Do not save over CAD 1. Make sure it's a different name, CAD 2, and save. CAD 2 appears at the top left corner of your screen. And now we're going to learn something new. So all that you learned in CAD 1, now we're going to learn about drawing angles. I'm going to scroll this up like this so that we have the angle portion in the middle of our screen. So first of all, to talk about angles, let's open up this little virtual protractor I found on the internet. When we're drawing angles, we can take a line that's flat and we can draw it to different degrees. Now I've already gone around once. This is backwards. Here we go. Nope. I'm grabbing the wrong line. There we go. So let's say we're at 0 degrees. I can take and pull this line, the second line, counterclockwise, and as I pull that to the left or counterclockwise, the angles build. And I can build all the way so the line is flat, which is a half a turn, 180 degrees. And I can keep on going all the way around until I'm at 360. And I could keep on going and those numbers would build. Or I can go negative, which is down, and the numbers decrease in size. So I'm going to be drawing, if you take a look at our example, just minimize this one. I'm going to be drawing here at 120 degrees and here at 120 as well. So to put in that angle, I'm actually interested in the angle on this side. So if I just take and temporarily draw a line from here to here, and I get my angle drawing tool, this is 0 degrees. And as I bring this up to here, this is going to be 180 minus 120, which is 60. So here is 0, and this is 180. Whoops, 180 right to here. So what the computer is asking what is the angle from 0 degrees that I want to draw this line. So to give you a visual of that, I'm going to be drawing 60 degrees like that. The 120 is on this side. So this is 180 degrees, and I subtract the 120 to give me 60. And that's what I will enter into the computer. So I'll open my drawing back up. And from this point here, I'm going to take and grab the angle drawing tool from my line tool drawers, and it's the first tool. Right click or snap to this point, and I'm just going to tell you the quick key for point polar. It's to the right of the letter L. It's your semicolon key. There is a way to go and get it way up here, point polar, and it gives you your quick key right here, your semicolon. So this shows up, and I'm going to put in that angle, or sorry, distance. In this case, the distance, I'll just tell you for now, it's going to be, let's put in 40, and an angle of 60. This always has to be on last point. Now we can press OK and enter. And that looks to be about right. So if I take and look at my drawing, just minimize this, look at my drawing, I can see that this, I drew it 40 long. The reason I drew it 40 long is because I actually don't know how long that line is. I know that it's 30 when I go straight up and over, that's 30. So I purposely drew it past 30 because I knew this is going to be longer because it's an angle. And then I'm going to cut that off. So to do that, from this point here, grab the ortho line drawing tool, snap, and go point relative 30 on DY. And we're just going to bring this line over and left click. And this is what I call a cutoff line. So now I can take and I can trim this against this, and I know that this will be the exact right length, correct length. So the trim tools are under here, and that's the dimensioning tools. The trim tools are under here. This one, I have a trim one line, and I have trim two lines. So we're going to trim two lines in this case. And this is a left click tool. You can use it with right click, but it's a little dangerous. I just want to be close to the line. So I'm going to left click here and left click here. And it'll trim those two and use this point as a reference. Now that I've done that, I don't need this line here anymore, so I'm just going to click on it and press the delete key on my keyboard. And we're going to draw this angle down this way. Now when we're drawing that angle, we always have to worry about 0 and think in relation to 0 degrees, which is here. And we always, well, I wouldn't say always, but we generally will go counterclockwise with my degrees to this point here. So if we take a look at the drawing that we're trying to mimic, this is 120 degrees here. But what is the angle if I go from here? Actually, I'll grab this tool. If I go from here all the way around past 180 up to this point. Well, it's actually probably easier if I go like this and go down this way to do the math. I just actually going to take and I'm going to draw that line. Now you don't need to do this. I'm just showing you the degrees. And if I take my angle drawing tool, I can tell you that that angle is 60 degrees. So instead of going all the way around, I can go from this angle down. I can go -60. But that angle is also 300 degrees. So those angles, this from here to here, can be 300 degrees, or it can be -60. Again, I'll show you on this here. So from here, I can go all the way around, and you can see that those degrees build until I'm at 300 degrees. Now this app doesn't show me negative, but I could go down this way in DesignCAD and I could type in -60. And they'll be the exact same angle. They'll be 300 degrees. So we'll refresh this. So from this point here with my angle drawing tool, I'm going to go down all the way around to 300 degrees. So point polar, which is your semicolon key. Distance, again, I'm going to just leave it 40, and I'm going to put in 300 degrees. And press enter. And enter again. Now I'm going to cut this off, but I'm going to wait until I draw this side. Now we've done a little bit more work. It's a good time to save it, so press that little save button. And let's take and draw this angle. Now this angle, when you look at the, whoops, wrong button. When you look at the example, this is 135 degrees. Now because we're drawing from this point, we can actually type in 135 degrees, and we're going to go 35 millimeters tall. So not 22, we're going to go 35. So 135 and 35 are our values. So getting back to our drawing. Angle drawing tool, which is just called a line drawing tool. Right click, point polar or semicolon key. This is a distance we said we're going to put 35 this time, and an angle of 135. And press OK. And enter. Now from this point here, we're going to go up 22 and over just by clicking on this button, our ortho tool. Snap, point relative. We're going to go 22 on Y. And we're going to cut this off just like we did the other side. Left click and enter. Go get that double trim tool left click, and delete this line just like that. Continuing on, we want to take and draw this angle down this way. Again, if we take a look at our example, if we take and draw from here 0 degrees, 45, 90, 135, 180, this is going to be another 45 degrees, which is 225 degrees. When this type of thing happens over here, this is just, I guess, a glitch in the program, I guess. It's not redrawing it properly. If you press this regenerate, it will regenerate the drawing and it'll show everything that's drawn. So back to here. We're going to grab that line drawing tool, snap to this point. We're going to go point polar. 35 is good for distance. Angle, what did we say? 225 degrees. Press enter and enter again. Now both these lines are too long. So what we're going to do is get that ortho tool, second one in, snap to this point, come across and snap to this point, and press enter. This is just a temporary line to trim these off. So now I'm going to use this single trim tool, the single line, this one here, and this, make sure this says trim shorter end. This trims a line against an existing line. So I'm going to left click here, and this is going to be called my cutoff line. So I'm going to trim on those 2 points. First here, then here. Now these are the correct length. This line is no longer needed, and it's actually more difficult to trim it down than it is to just redraw another line from this point to this point. So we're going to click on it and press the delete key and get our line drawing tool, ortho tool, and just right click, enter. Fit to screen, and the majority of our drawing is done. Might as well save it. Now let's draw the circle in the middle of our shape, our CAD 2 shape. The circle is located 85 to the right, the bottom left-hand quarter, and 57 up. So let's just draw a temporary line there, snapping to that corner, point relative, 85 on dx, 0 on dy, point relative, 0 on dx, and 57 on dy. Enter. Enter one more time. Temporary point for us to draw that circle. Your circle drawing tools are under this drawer right here. So let's open up our circle tool drawer and grab the fourth one in, which has a question mark on it. And we want to type in a radius of 15. Make sure we're on a circle. And when we get near this point, we're going to right click or snap. And there you have it. Your circle is drawn. This line is no longer needed, so let's make that disappear. And the drawing, other than the dimensions, is done. Okay, let's move on to the dimensions. To begin, we're going to dimension the outside. This is similar to what we did in CAD 1. And we want to set up our dimensioning tool to set point relative to 7. So I'm just going to write that down here. And you can do the same. Grab the text tool. And I believe let's make our text size 3. And we'll put on here, what did I write? Let's make sure I'm writing the correct thing here before we begin. Dimension text and arrow size equals 3. Dimension text and arrow size equals 3. All in capital letters. dimension text and arrow size equals 3. And we're just going to manually place this right here. Left click. What's the other thing I wrote on there? The other one is dimension point relative distance. Dimension point relative distance. We'll write that on there. Dimension point relative distance equals 7. And you're going to figure that out, what I mean by all this, in a second. And we're going to left click that there. Remember, when if this goes at an angle, just let go of your mouse and press enter and it will go straight. So again, I'm going to save it. It's always good to save it if you're happy with what you've got. And I'm going to click my negative tool in the middle of the circle once, just to give me some space around the drawing. Okay, so let's proceed to dimension this CAD 2 drawing. So with this right here, our dimensioning tool, we used it in CAD 1. This pops up, and let's set our text size to 3. Make sure format is on 1.5. Precision should be on 1. And make sure all of these are the same as mine. Horizontal and vertical positions are centered. Orientation is normal. Movement, dimension line with text. And then save, close. Prefix and suffix should be none, none. Arrowhead is 3. And I chose my favorite one, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one down. The 3rd one down is also nice. They're all nice, but those are the ones we're going to use. Arrowhead. Did I say 3 for size? Extension 3, 3. And then tolerancing you shouldn't have to worry about. So let's start by dimensioning the height of our triangle, our little mountain. So to do this, I want you to actually right-click to this point first, and then this point. And then we're going to set point relative to -7 and 0 on dy. The reason we did this is because we want this value to be 7. If I would have done it the opposite way, and I would have went right-click here, and then I went point -7 from there, it's asking me how far do I want to go from this point. Let me see, that shouldn't have went like that. Let me double check that. Right-click, point relative. Yeah, see, it's not even. It's doing something totally funny. So don't do that. We're going to right-click to this point first, then this point, and then point relative and -7. Now our next layer of dimensions, which is from here to here, is going to be -14. So right-click, point relative, -14, which is double the amount of 7. That just means that it's 14 away from our object line. 7 and 7. Our third layer is going to be 21. In this case, we're going to go up here first, and we're going to right-click here, and then we're going to go point relative, -21. If I would have went from here first, right-click, and then went -21, it would have went 21 from this point here, and then this would not be set in the right area. So make sure that your point relative value is from the last point that you clicked on. Making some space at the top, I'm going to now do this dimension right here. Right-click, snap, point relative, 0 on dx, 7 on dy, because I'm going up. Now I should be able to do quite a few more of these by just snapping. So I'm going to double click on my dimension tool. And that way I don't have to get it every single time. Clicking on the outermost points, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click. And sometimes this doesn't quite work. Let's see. Yeah, those don't seem to want to work on them. So I'm going to undo that. Here I'm going to have to put in my value. So right click, and then point relative 7. And I'm just going to do that here as well, just so I don't waste any time. Point relative dy is 7. Now my overall, I want it to be 14 away from here. But when I take my overall dimension, I right click here, I'm going to have to add the value from here to here, the distance, which is 40, to my 21. So 40 plus 21 is 61. So when I put in point relative, no, sorry, 7 and 7 is 14. Wrong one. So let's just restate that. So this was 40, and I want to go 7 and 7 is 14, not 21. So the distance I want to go for point relative is going to be 40 plus 14, which is 54. So 54 is the number we want. And there you have it. So distance from here to here is 54. On the right side, we're going to start with the top of the mountain here to the bottom here. So dimension, move this away. Right click, point relative, dx is 7, dy is 0. And now we're going to go from the center of this circle. Actually, are we ready for that yet? No, we're not. We're not going to do the circle yet. We're going to leave that one. We're going to go underneath here, right click, point relative, 0, tab, -7. And we're going to do this one right here, and then we're going to tackle the circle. Right click, point relative, -7. Now I'm getting a little bit leery that this might crash, so I'm going to press save. And the circle needs some little crosshairs on it. So we're going to just build those by getting our line drawing tool, snapping to the middle, point relative, and we're going to go 2 to the right, 0 on dy. Press enter, and we're going to go 2 to the left from the middle. So we snap to the middle and we went -2. And we're going to go 2 up. Why don't I zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here? Right click, and I'm going to go 2 up, 2 on dy, and 2 down. So -2. I made a little crosshair here. And that helps me indicate the center of the circle when I'm dimensioning. So now we can dimension that by using our dimensioning tool. We're going to snap to this point. Actually, yes, this point first. Right click to that outer point of the crosshair. Right click, and then we're going to dimension this be 14. So point relative 14 on dx. There you have it. That's my value of 14. And then on the bottom, we'll snap to the middle here, right click, and then we're going to go point relative, 0 on dx, -14 on dy. And there you go. We have crosshairs, we have a little gap, which is what we want, and that indicates the center of our circle at 85 and 57. Now, to dimension the angles, we're going to place our dimensions on the outside here and here. So if you hold down the dimensioning tool, the second one in is our angle dimensioning tool. The way this works is, well, let's just double check because we want to make sure that everything is set correctly. Our text is 45. Our format is 45.0 degrees. Precision is 1. Horizontal is center. Vertical position is above. Orientation horizontal. Text size is 3. Save. Close. Prefix and suffix, I just like to double check that these always say none. Arrowhead. Let's change this to 3 and see what it looks like. That might be a bit big, but let's see what it looks like. Extension is the same. Well, we got all kinds of numbers in here. Extension. Let's just leave this alone. I don't think we need to worry about this one because our lines will be hidden. Save, close. Now this is a 3-point dimension tool. So we're going to right click right here. Then we're going to right click at the apex of this triangle. And then we're going to right click right here. And then when we move our dimensioning tool, we're going to, once those arrowheads are on the inside, see how they're on the outside? We want to pull this until it's on the inside. And I'm going to go just a little bit farther and left click. So this is approximately halfway from here to here. Now I'm going to do the same on these 3. However, to indicate, I want this to look the same as these for just in relation to height. So I'm just going to draw a temporary line by left clicking, not snapping, here, and just running this across like this. This will help me gauge the height of the angle dimension. So get that angle dimensioning tool, right click, right click, right click, and then you can dimension underneath or over, and I'm just going to pull that dimension up so that it's in line right here, just like this. And let's see if that works for the other one as well. Right click, right click, right click, and bringing that up to here, just in line, left click. And last, over here, right click, right click, right click, left click. And now these are all the same height, so I can click on this line and press delete. And that looks pretty good. Actually, I think I'm pretty much done. I just want to take and put my name right here. Let's just double check to see if we're looking similar to this one. We've got all our dimensions, 85, 57, 170. I think we're looking pretty good. Go back to our drawing. Fit to screen. Okay, so there is one more thing we need to do on here, and that's to dimension the circle. Underneath the dimensioning tools, the third option is to dimension the radius of a circle. When this opens, this little box, make sure you're set to 1.5 for format. Precision is 1. Horizontal position and vertical are centered. Orientation is horizontal. Text size is 3. Leave text offset at whatever it's set at. Save, close. Make sure your arrowheads are set to 3. And everything else should be good. For this, we're going to right click or snap to the center of the circle. Bring the dimensioning tool out. And somewhere around this area, you're going to left click. And then just bring your dimension so that it's flat, horizontal. So you can make it at an angle. You're going to make it horizontal and then left click and press enter. And that'll show you the radius of this circle. This should look like a nice straight line. And the last thing we want to do is take our text tool, put your name with a font size of 6. Just in the bottom right hand corner, we're going to place that right like that. Left click. Remember, if you move your mouse around, just press enter and it'll go straight. We'll fit that to screen. And that is a completed CAD 2 drawing. So congratulations on completion of and I guess new knowledge of angles and circles and dimensioning those angles and circles. And next we'll get into CAD 3. See you later.